Now, to the other side of things, I know you have a lot to say about the Eagles, and I don't really like to question play calling, but even some of the play calls I was scratching my head on. I felt like they were trying to get DeMarco Murray involved a little too much, just to, so he could beat his former team. They just didn't find rhythm. I mean, you couldn't, there was no offensive line. Like, the blocking was just completely horrible. Everything that I see, it just seems like teams are picking up when they're going to run before the Eagles actually, run the ball. Bradford and Aguilar on that one route didn't look good there in the red zone, and then Jordan Matthews dropping the ball. I think it's still in his head from dropping the ball in week 1. I just I think there's potential for them to get it back on track because you saw what they did in the second half of week 1. But at the same time, is Dallas' defense even all that great in the sense of how good they made them look? You know what I mean? So it was frustrating to watch. I enjoyed what the defense did. It sucks that Romo got hurt because I would have liked to see if they would have held that up. I made this claim the other day. I think that if Des Bryant was in that game, though, it's not even close at halftime. I mean, it was 6-0 at halftime, and the Eagles, like you said, only had 21 yards. It's frustrating to think of, how scary that could have been. But
the fact that he wasn't in the game and it was still only 6-0 at halftime is pretty pathetic on our end. But again, I think that stems more of the fact of the penalties, because we were just running all over your defense because they were exhausted. You don't have an offense. Let's just call it what it is. Where is the genius?
No identity on the offense. 2 new guards are looking like a little worse of a situation than before. And Peters might have gotten hurt there too at one point. Kelsey, he messed up a snap at one point, and he's your veteran center. All these things are like tumbling downhill. Last year, the New England was 2-2, and Seattle was 3-3 at one point. You know what I mean? So it's not like crazy ridiculous. And it was only Sam Bradford's second start in 99 weeks. And I mean,
I think you're being very light on your team now.
But if they don't get it together the whole season, it's going to be alarming. Not unheard of or really even crazy to think that maybe they just can't get it together. Kiko Alonso maybe going down, the unfortunate injuries going on with the defense after Kiko and Kendricks got hurt. And then when they did blitz, Byron Maxwell was nowhere to be found on that play. And
shocking.
For the money they're paying him, for him to be tired, he said he was tired. It looked like he just wasn't expecting the play. I don't think he was tired on the play. I really don't. It looked like the ball was snapped and he just wasn't expecting it to happen. And I mean, no excuses like saying they were tired. You know what I mean? That to me, it's like I would have rather hear him just say he just wasn't ready for the play. Because now you just sound like, dude, it's week 2. They're paying you how much money? And you what would it, as we said, Des Bryant, what would he have looked like against Des Bryant if you were tired in week 2 against the Cowboys in the fourth quarter? Then, without Des Bryant, you were covering Cole Beasley all day, I mean, the stats are real. Only 13% of teams that go 0-2 make the playoffs. So,
I mean, I'm at a point, I've pretty much written you guys off at this point. I already didn't believe in your defense, and now I completely don't believe in your offense. I mean, I'm looking for this genius in Chip Kelly that the Eagles fans appointed as a genius, and I'm not seeing it. Granted, you don't have an offensive line. We keep hearing that this Chip Kelly system, it's a system, but you got the players that you wanted now, and it's not working, so what's the excuse? You got rid of your actual playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. You got what you wanted. This is all on you now, and it's not working, so now what's the excuse? You pick up a running back in DeMarco Murray, and he's failing. He's losing his mind out there on the field telling me, give me the ball, what's going on, why is this failing?
I think in that situation, they shouldn't have been running the ball because they were negative, 16 yards? Or, negative 20 yards at one point of rushing the ball. So what would have been the point of handing him the ball off? And you might have gotten out of field goal range. You were on the 3-yard line. They might have put you back to the 50-yard line if you handed him the ball. So overall issue on the offense is the offensive line. Look at the Colts. I mean, you have an amazing quarterback in Andrew Luck, and they can't get it together because their offensive line. I mean, that's literally the issue. And so I'm not saying that's all they are away from clicking. I'm not saying that's all the Eagles are away from clicking because DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, Darren Sproles, and Sam Bradford have never stood in the same backfield, together before this. So that could be an issue too, that they're not really on the same page yet. I have optimism because I'm a fan, obviously. It's not crazy to write them off. I don't think, it's hard to say. I mean, they have the Jets this week. It's hard to say that they're going to turn this around anytime soon. At the same time, I have optimism from the fan side. I think there is things to build off of. You can't go anywhere but up, you know what I mean? I just,
I completely hear the fan coming out in you right now. Well, I hear such a fan.
No, because I think the reaction from the Eagles fans is opposite. I mean, have you seen the video spiral?
I've seen a couple of them.
That's what I'm saying. So I think I'm in the minority here by saying that I think that
I mean, it's not over, but we're at a point where
no, I agree with you, but I think not just with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think everybody in the NFL, there's an overreaction kicking. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns last week were the worst organization in the world, and the Tennessee Titans had the MVP in the next 7 Super Bowls wrapped up. Do you know what I mean? So, and then look at that, how that turned out. So I'm going to pump the brakes, and I'm going to say, hold a second, and I'm going to say, give me a substantial amount of games together under the system, and I will give you my whole if it's a failure.
Is it a failure if you go 0-3?
No, because there's 16 games in a season. But if they go 0-3, it's going to be really hard to make the playoffs. And if you don't make the playoffs, that's where it starts to become talk of failure. And that's unfortunate because I think that if you would have asked anybody, if I was to start being a coach this season in 2 years from now, I would have 20 wins under my belt. It would be crazy to say that he would be on the hot seat after 2 weeks. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think that. I think that is a little overreaction at the moment. He still has 20 wins in 2 years. This is only week 3 of the year 3.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
You're also a Philadelphia fan, and you understand that you guys have no patience, and I don't know how long you guys are going to be tolerable to this type of play because it's horrible.
The fans and the media will run them out of Philly. There's no question. It's just like New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will. I do believe that they will they'll overthrow the king, as they say. On the flip side, those people who are freaking out in week 10, I don't want to hear those same people talking about how amazing this is. Because to me, it's like you didn't give it a chance. Like you didn't. You know what I mean? Like you're talking. Like all I hear is negative and how bad Chip Kelly is and how the system's this and how you did this and how you did that. I mean, you can't judge. You know what I mean? A game's not 1 quarter long. The season isn't 2 games long. That's what I'm trying to say.
I feel you. I mean, I never really bought into this whole system game, but I mean,
that's
I completely understand where you're coming from.
College coaches in the NFL, to me, is a whole different. Systems do work sometimes in the NFL, but it's very specific. They've been doing it a certain way for a long time in the NFL, and it's worked that way for a reason.
I'm just saying you better get some players in.
Well, who knows if the talent's there or not. It's right now it doesn't look like it, and it looks like Sam Bradford's falling right on his face, but at the same time, Willie, I'm not going to say that he can't turn around either. I'm not saying he's going to...
I might give you to next week.